G'day, today we're talking about 1HD-FTE 100 Series Landcruiser, the HDJ100R. If you want to replace the radiator, how do you go about it? Pretty simple job, not too difficult. We've just lifted it out. There it is, old radiator. Now, if you're going to do this job, generally the rule of thumb is if your top tank starts to discolor, that black, it's a plastic top tank, starts to go brown. This has only just started to do it. Usually you'll see them when they're really, really bad. The top of them will be completely yellow, or that kind of yellowy golden brown kind of color. So this has just come out. Not too difficult. The biggest question you'll have is, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to take off to get the radiator out? Well, not much as it turns out. It's pretty simple. So I've taken a few extra things out just to give myself a bit more room. Both batteries are out, the grill's out, and the grill's just out to get to a bracket in here just to bend it out of the way. Power steering pump's in place, AC's in place, the fan, the viscous fan hub, and the shroud are still in place. So basically what you're doing, there's your electrical cabling here, that just clips off, put that back there. I got the batteries out just to give myself a little bit more room. And there's a bracket down in here. Where's the bracket? Where's the bracket gone? There is a bracket, wherever I put, I'll get the one from this side. Bracket like that, that bolts to the side of your radiator. I find it easier to take that off. Take it off, just move it out of the way and then lift the radiator out. You can pull it off with this intact. I've seen people do that, but it just, there's your AC hoses, you've got some other wiring and stuff in here, and it just catches and give you the shit, so I just took it off. Bracket's same both sides. Fits on a rubber grommet down there, just sits on it. There's a bunch of hoses on the bottom. What do you got? 1, 2, 3 hoses on the bottom. So drain your radiator, take your bottom radiator hoses off. This has done 460,000 Ks. If you got one like this, probably chances are those hoses are going to be quite sticky. You're going to have to move them backwards and forwards and they should slide off. I'd recommend replace them. Replace your radiator hoses, your bottom ones, your main radiator hose, and then your little ones, particularly if you've had to really reef them to get them off. There's 12 millimeter bolts holding the fan shroud on, 3 of them. Unbolt them, take the electrical, your tubing here off, then just push that back and move that out of the way. And then you've got 2 12mm bolts holding your brackets on in the bush down in there. You'll just take that off. And then the rubber bushes that the radiator sit on, in my case, were really, really sticky and just did not want to let go. So really took some wiggling to get them to pop off. I thought I must have left a hose or something on because it was really, really quite tight. But eventually I was able to wiggle that loose. So, and then lift it out. So once you go there's a bracket here. You got some hoses here that go to your, was your AC condenser or was your transmission cooler? Might be transmission cooler. It's the intercooler on that side. Anyway, AC lines down here. So when you're moving this around, this bracket here is in the way. So there's just 2 10mm bolts sticking through here. So take the radiator out. You'll see what it is. It's just 2 lines that sit above the bracket that the radiator sits on with a 12mm bolt running through it. Just got a 12mm bolt, a little washer, and then a big washer. That's the bolt there. But it just sits under this little bracket here. So you just undo two 10mm bolts there, and then this will come loose, and you can just push it a little bit out of the way to get to your 12mm bolt. Lift that out. Once your radiator's drained, then you'll have to. So you just push your radiator, your cowling here, just push that back, fan shroud, push that back onto the fan. And then what I found is get down underneath the car and then you'll have to push the fan shroud back because the bottom of the radiator, it's got all your 3 outlets on it. So you've got 3 outlets there on the bottom and you've got to get them past the radiator shroud. When you lift it, it'll foul on the bottom of the radiator shroud. If you're trying to pull from the top. So just get underneath it. You can do it by yourself. I did it by myself. I didn't bash the radiator around, perfectly fine. Just pull it push the fan shroud back and then just lift it up, then pull it back and it'll hold it. Then come up here, grab it, lift it out. In fact, there's two brackets sticking out either side of the top with two holes in it that go through these rubber mounts here at the top of the radiator. They just bolt in there. That's a little bit tricky. The two bolts or two nuts rather, that hold this funny bolt here on. It's a rubber bush with a steel bush going through it. That just holds that's your top mount for your radiator. And if you try and do that with a ratchet, it'll tend to just twist. Rattle gun, get a rattle gun, and some people recommend holding onto this nut with the vice grips. I didn't find that particularly successful or a compelling option, so I didn't go that way. I just got the rattle gun and off it came, no problems. Didn't even have to hold that, nice and simple. Then that comes out, and then you can put your fingers through the two top mounts after you've got it past the fan shroud and lift it out. Very, very simple. Don't need to take the fan off, don't need to take your viscous fan hub off, don't need to take the shroud off. Could you get away with it not taking the grill out? Yeah, you probably could. I reckon you'll need to take the batteries out. There's just not enough room there. Compared to the V8 version of that's a little bit different. You've got a little bit more room here. Really, once you push looking at the V8 removal, not as much room between the engine and the fan shroud and the radiator, and it's quite a lift, and I'd be worried that you'd drag the radiator against something. With this, there's lots and lots of room. So if you're careful, you should have absolutely no problems in lifting the radiator out. So the trickiest bit is probably just getting it past, getting all the rubber to loosen. Like this car's well over 20 years old now, and the rubber's in good condition. I haven't seen any bushings here that are perished and worn out. They find that I'll use them again. I won't change out any of the bolts. They're perfectly fine. The side bracket, the new radiator will come complete with a radiator cap and all your outlets. The only thing you're going to need to change over is that bracket, the two brackets on the side that bolt on. But as I said, I would recommend just taking it off. I just reached down with a 12mm ratchet spanner and was able to undo the nuts, and I'll lower it back into place, and then I'll put the bracket back on and then just sit it on the bushing down there. That's how I intend to reinstall it for better or worse. So it's not a difficult job. You'll do it in a couple of hours. Just take your time. The thing you need to be careful about when you're lowering your new radiator in, you just want to make sure everything's out of the way. Would be good to have an extra pair of hands, just to have someone telling you, oh, no, you're going to hit that. Oh, no, you don't. You don't want to bend in your fins and everything if you can help it. Get it in there. And yeah, not really a difficult job. And most of the difficult things to remove, you don't need to worry about. A couple hours, you'll have it done. Just watch when you follow the instructions for refilling to avoid any airlocks. Owner's manual or workshop manual teach you that. How I do it is I just make sure you've got generally the turbo line where the radiator goes to the turbo line. I generally pull that off and fill it. So at least I know the water's got the coolant's got there until it's run through, then connect it up, fill it the rest of the way, and then follow your instructions for filling up with the coolant. But pretty easy job, should knock it out pretty easy. So if you've got top tanks there that have gone golden and yellowy color, that's probably a good indication that your radiator is almost ready to go. And don't wait until the radiator pops to change it. You might get away with it, but glory be, you'd be lucky. That's going to lead you to all manner of strife. So pretty easy job, knock it out in a couple hours. And if you buy a genuine Toyota radiator, comes with most of the stuff that you need. Radiator here cost me about $650 and probably about 3 hours of my time, and I'll have this job done. And this is the first time I've done a radiator on one of these, so not too hard. Hope that was useful for you. Thanks for watching.